Good morning and welcome to Medicare Made Simple with Medicare Myriam. Medicare Made Simple is brought to you by United Insurance Experts. Call today 561-464-CARE. That's 561-464-CARE. Now here's Medicare Myriam.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Miriam Leyva with United Insurance Experts. United Insurance Experts is not affiliated with or endorsed by the government or the federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Currently in Palm Beach County, we represent 10 organizations that offer 49 products. Please contact Medicare.gov to get all of your options, or you can call them at 1-800-MEDICARE. The purpose of this show is to educate you on Medicare and to connect you with valuable resources. So I hope everybody's having a lovely Saturday. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce a special guest, Stephen Freed, the managing partner of the law offices of Stephen M. Freed, PA, and Team Title, Florida. He'll be sharing insights on Social Security disability, but first, I'd like to address a few questions I received throughout the week. The first one that I would like to go over is, I'm new to Medicare Part B since I've recently retired and no longer have an employer plan. I currently only have Medicare Part A and Part B and my supplemental plan. However, my doctor mentioned that the system still indicates that my employer plan is active, so he cannot put in a claim. What can I do? Actually, I've seen this pretty often this year, and I rarely saw it before. Now, I probably had like 5 clients have a situation with coordination of benefits. So first, let me, for those that don't know what a coordination of benefits is a process used by health insurance companies to determine the order in which they will pay claims, right? So it happens a lot when you have 2 different insurance companies, right? If you have Medicare along with an employer plan, for example, right? So maybe you have Part A along with employer plan, or maybe A and B along with an employer plan, right? So a lot of times when you get on Medicare, you drop that employer plan to go fully on Medicare Part A and B along with a supplement, kind of like this client here. So what we're seeing is that when the doctor puts in the claim, the system still shows that employer plan, not the Medicare plan. So that's why they're not able to put in the claim. So the recommendation here is to call the Benefits Coordination and Recovery Center. That's pretty much Medicare, but this is the specific department that handles this. So you can call 1-800-MEDICARE and they will direct you. But if you would like to call them directly, that number is 855-798-2627. Again, that number to the Benefits Coordination and Recovery Center is 1-855-798-2627. Or you can just call 1-800-MEDICARE and they will direct you to that department. And again, that's for any issues with the coordination of benefits, right? If you put in a claim and they're saying, look, we show a different policy instead of Medicare or the policy you're trying to put the claim in with. So again, that is with Medicare, 1-800-MEDICARE or 855-798-2627, or you can call us directly. If we're your agents, you're welcome to call us at 561-464-2273. The second question is, how do I choose between Original Medicare and Medicare Advantage? Lately, these Medicare Advantage plans have become very popular. So it's very important to understand the differences between the two. So what I can say is Original Medicare, if you're only doing Original Medicare, that's only Part A and Part B. That's hospital coverage and medical coverage. Medicare Advantage often offer these additional benefits like dental and vision care at a lower out-of-pocket. And I say this because most of these plans have a maximum out-of-pocket where Medicare does not. Original Medicare does not have a maximum out-of-pocket. So if you're responsible for 20% of Part B, again, there is no ceiling, right? If you wrap up a very hefty bill, you're responsible for 20% of that. With Medicare Advantage plans, by law, they have to have this maximum out-of-pocket, which every plan is different. You would have to see which one is the most beneficial for you. But again, that's one of the differences. Another difference is that Medicare Advantage follows networks. With Original Medicare, you can go anywhere in the country as long as that doctor facility accepts Medicare, which more than 93% of doctors and facilities in America take original Medicare. On the Medicare Advantage plan, again, you follow those networks, and you're basically saying, do you take whichever carrier you go with? That's when you go to the doctor, do you take this specific carrier when you go with a specific insurance company? But again, it's always good to look at a comparison, look at your needs, make sure you understand both options and choose the one that's most beneficial for you. If you're in this situation that would like to determine which one, give us a call. Again, 561-464-2273, or you're always welcome to call Medicare. I know sometimes it's very hard to reach them, but I always say, look, call them up and leave it on the speakerphone and just stay there. Eventually they'll pick up. Believe me, they're not that bad. Okay, my third question is, I'm on a dual special needs plan and I recently lost my Medicaid coverage. What should I do? Okay, so if you are in a dual special needs plan, for those that don't understand what this is, it's for those people that have Medicare and Medicaid, which is help from the state. A lot of times they enroll in a Medicare Advantage that's called special needs that uses both of them together. If you lose that Medicaid, it's no longer beneficial for you to stay on that dual special needs plan. And my recommendation is that you switch out of it. You typically have 2 months from the month you lose your Medicaid coverage to sign up for a new Medicare Advantage plan. And again, if you miss that window, you may have to wait for the next open enrollment period or another special election period to make a change. And it's important to take action quickly so you don't face a lapse in coverage. So again, if you've lost Medicaid, contact your agent or contact that carrier and make that change, okay? If we are your agents, please reach out to us, 561-464-2273. We are here to help you. So that wraps up my Medicare questions for the week. So without further ado, let's delve into Social Security disability benefits with our friend. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, Miriam. How are you today?
I'm great. How about yourself? How's your Saturday coming along?
Yeah, my Saturday's nice. It's sunny outside, and the birds are chirping.
I know. With this daylight savings, it's like my mornings are like, ugh, come on, Miriam, wake up. It's so dark. But then my evenings, I don't want to go to bed because it's so light out, you know?
Well, yeah, very, very true. Those of us who love to play golf are very happy when we have a little bit later to taste the sunset.
Yes. I mean, I get you. I'm a pickleball player, so I get to play a little extra now. So I do like that. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you. First off, welcome, everybody. Thanks for having me on. And my name is Steve Freed. I am the managing partner at Law Office of Stephen M. Freed, PA. Our website is freedlawgroup.com, and you can see the things that my firm does. I've been practicing as an attorney since 1993. My areas of practice are, of course, Social Security disability. I also practiced in the area of workers' compensation, where I represent injured workers, personal injuries, car accidents, things of that nature, and also do title work. Okay. So those are the things that I do. I lived in South Florida basically most of my life, and this is where I am, and I help people, and it's a pretty good way to live.
Yes. So, all right. So today's topic is going to be Social Security. So can you briefly explain what Social Security disability benefits are and who is eligible?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, the first thing to note is there are really two types of benefits that you can receive if you can't work as a result of an injury or a condition. And there's certain criteria that come into play, which we'll go over a little bit later. But the two types of benefits are either SSI, which is Social Security income, or SSDI, which is Social Security disability insurance. And the general public is able to apply for both at the same time, and there's a few different criteria that go into which one you'll be eligible for and which is more beneficial to you. Just generally speaking, Social Security disability pays you more money on a monthly basis than SSI, which is Social Security income, does, but it's also doing that because you have worked and paid into the Social Security Administration system the requisite amount of time in order to qualify for that. It's it's more along the lines of a benefit that you get for contributing versus SSI, where it is not based on the monies that you have put in.
I see.
So, that's kind of the broad-brushed Reader's Digest version of the difference.
What if you don't have a lot of credits? Does that mean you can't get the SSDI?
Yes, that does. The way it works is you have to have paid in for 20 quarters of the last 40 quarters, and that essentially breaks down to 5 of the last 10 years. And the way it works is to basically include one of the quarters as part of your income for reporting purposes. Is you have to have earned $1,810 for that quarter. So if you earn $7,240, which is all 4 quarters combined, then you'll be in for 4 quarters, which is a year. But you need to have 20 of the last 40 quarters included as payments into Social Security in order to qualify for SSDI. SSI, it doesn't matter. You could have never worked at all. As long as you meet some of the other criteria, you would be eligible.
Got you. Okay. That makes total sense. Okay. Now, I guess, does it even matter your age? So let's say, let's put a scenario in place. So let's say a 62-year-old, right? Do they get the full? Most 62-year-olds will have, more than 20 quarters. Does it, if they collect Social Security or they take that SSDI, does it even matter, in what they receive? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. And if I understand your question correctly, if you're receiving your retirement benefits, you're not going to be eligible for disability.
Got you.
So if you're, you've accepted your retirement benefits at 62, you're not going to be able to do that. However, let's just say, for example, you have your 20, 40 quarters in, and you have a condition that is preventing you from working for at least the last year, or is expected to keep you from working for at least a year, you can absolutely apply because that's one of the main criteria.
Got you.
For eligibility.
Okay. Got it. Perfect. Now, what can someone expect during the entire Social Security disability process?
Oh, boy. To wait and more waiting. No. Okay. I say that tongue-in-cheek, but the average expectancy, according to the administration's records, is 17 months for approval for disability.
Wow.
And that's assuming that you have a case that you're going to qualify. A lot of people will get to that 17 months and they don't have either the condition, they have the conditions that qualify under the Social Security Administration's listings, or they, for whatever reason, may not have or they have transferable skills, and so they're not deemed, even though they're not able to work in the work that they did before, they have educational background and the skills in order to kind of transfer into a different type of work environment, and they in that case, they won't be considered disabled. And they won't know that until they run through the gamut of the application process, where they'll get a letter explaining the denial, then they have to go to an appeal, which we call a request for reconsideration.
Okay.
And even after that, if they get denied again, you still have the third option, which is to request a hearing in front of an administrative law judge who's going to go through everything and hopefully, with my assistance, get you to a point where you can present what you have to the judge, and the judge will agree and say that you're disabled and entitled to your benefits.
Yeah, I'm glad you're talking about the denial process, because now, what are the common reasons claims are denied?
Okay. Well, first, we've already touched on a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not insured. You haven't paid in enough quarters, and therefore you wouldn't be eligible for Social Security disability. Okay. Secondly, the way the analysis goes, you have to show a few things. And unfortunately, if it's not ridiculously obvious, most of the times at the lower levels of review, they're going to turn you down. So there's something called listed criteria. It's basically conditions that will qualify you if they're severe enough and there's enough medical records to support the severity and the extent of the injuries. So if you don't have that, then you're going to be denied.
Wow.
Another thing which people don't really, it's not that they don't understand, they just don't know, because the information is not that easy to get, is that you can combine different conditions which may be minor taken by themselves, but when combined with other problems and some may be physical restrictions, you can't lift, you can't walk, you can't stand, but you have the ability to do those things on a moderate basis. But when combined with a mental or a non-exertional limitation, such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, things that prevent you from being in a work environment on a continuous basis, you may be able to combine all of those conditions in order to qualify on a more global basis versus just meeting a strict listed criteria, box gets checked, and they move you along.
Right. Okay. Now, I know you kind of explained a little bit the appeal process, but let's say we have a listener now that has been denied before. What should that person do? What is your recommendation?
It's straightforward as anything. Okay. There's two situations. You've you filed your application. Mm-hmm. You've gone through, they'll probably do a phone interview, or you'll go to the local office. The administration, if they don't have enough records, will send you to some of their specialists for examinations. You would have already supplemented your record by sending in functional reports as far as they're going to ask you what you can and can't do and things like that. And they'll even send something to somebody who you know very well who also fill out a functional report. And you'll also provide medical updates and the names of all the doctors you're treating during the process. So once all that's done and the administration feels like they have a complete record, they're going to review the file and they'll send you out a notice letter. And it's going to be a notice of decision. Mm-hmm. And that notice of decision is going to say one of two things. It is going to say, congratulations, you've been accepted and your benefits will start on X date. Or it's going to say, unfortunately, the administration does not feel that you qualify and you are eligible to file what's called a request for reconsideration. Now, the important thing there is, obviously, you've been denied and you're not happy, right, but you cannot ignore that letter. So if you ignore that letter and 60 days pass from the date of the denial, you have to file a whole new application and start from basically ground zero, except in a situation where you can show good cause. Let's say you're in the hospital and you never got the letter or something along those lines. Sometimes, you can apply for good cause and sometimes it'll be granted. But in the alternative, you get your letter and you say, okay, reconsideration, what is that? In that scenario, you either call an attorney to assist you, or you can even do it yourself on the Social Security Administration's website, mm-hmm, and you file what's called a request for reconsideration. That request has to be done within 60 days of the date of your denial letter. Okay. And from there, they're going to compile more records. They may send you for more exams, more functional reports, and somebody who didn't look at your file the first time will do the review. And based on that secondary review, you're either going to get picked up, mm-hmm, or you're going to get denied again. And if you get denied again, unfortunately, you have to file a request for a hearing in front of an administrative law judge. And that's when you, in my opinion, definitely need someone to help you out.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just say someone did it initially, on their own, and then they received their, mm-hmm, request for reconsideration. Can they hire an attorney at that point, or hire you at that point?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. That to me, and I'll be honest, mm-hmm, 95% of the time will tell clients who call, or potential clients who call, apply on your own. There's no reason to pay a lawyer when it's pretty straightforward. You have all the information at your disposal to make the initial application. It becomes more of a challenge when your information doesn't fit in one of the square boxes that Social Security needs, and that's when you need a lawyer.
Okay. Now, are there any upfront fees for when you hire a lawyer? Can you elaborate a little bit more on those fees?
There's not supposed to be.
Okay.
The administration has established rules for the legal fees that can be charged by lawyers when they prosecute a claim on somebody's behalf. And those fees are limited.
Oh.
They are, if we get your case approved, we don't get paid for anything after the approval. The way it works, and let me take you back just a step or two, is we go to the date of your initial application, because the date of your initial application is when you're asking the Social Security Administration to provide you with disability benefits. So let's say it takes 2 years to get to a scenario where the Social Security Administration approves you as disabled. Well, they're going to go back and you're going to be eligible and rightly entitled to back benefits. So our fee from the time of the application up until you get accepted is 25% of those retroactive benefits, up to a maximum of $7,200. That's it. If your back benefits are $40,000 or $50,000, which I've had in some cases, the maximum that Social Security will pay us is $7,200 out of your back benefits. And that's it. There's no upfront fees. There's nothing else. And once you get approved, no lawyer should charge you another penny.
Wow. So it's kind of like a contingency base, kind of. You get paid only if you win it, if you win this case.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And, part of that also, from the lawyer standpoint, is, unfortunately, we have to take cases that we feel that we can win. And there are some people who, come to us and we don't feel that they're eligible. And, at least if they talk to me, I'm going to tell them pretty straightforward that this is what you need to work on. And if we can do that, then terrific. Let's roll the dice and let's go. But there are, unfortunately, certain circumstances where we have to turn down the file. But it's not that often.
Right. Yeah, I could imagine that. Now, are there any recent changes to Social Security disability law or policy that applicants should be aware of?
Really not so much changes. The listed criteria for what they consider disability has changed about 2.5 years ago. But the intent and the purpose of what they're doing and how they're doing their reviews has basically remained the same. Essentially, what you're looking at is and again, I'm going to paint with a broad brush. If you have a condition or a combination of conditions that has prevented you from working for a year, or your doctors say is going to prevent you from working for at least a year, then you're going to be eligible. You also have to meet certain other criteria, such as what's your age, what's your educational background, what type of transferable skills do you have, and also, believe it or not, whether you speak English or other languages also impacts whether or not you're going to be eligible. And if I can say about emotional and non-exertional limitations, those also come into play because, remember, we're talking about how these limitations affect and factor in to you being able to show up to work every day and to be able to, quite honestly, get along with coworkers and members of the public. And sometimes some of these emotional and non-exertional limitations will have a significant impact on those areas.
That makes sense. Now, where can people find resources or learn more about Social Security disability benefits?
I hate to say Google, but Google is one thing. But when you Google, I hate to use the word fake news, but sometimes you are directed in the wrong directions.
Yeah.
But really, the most informative thing, in my estimation, is just going on the Social Security Administration's website. It's It's www.ssa.gov, so it's Social Security Administration.gov. And if you go on the search engine for applying for disability, they do a pretty good job of explaining what I've talked about so far.
Okay.
And there's also additional helpful links for looking at what the listed criteria are and how they make their determinations and what the procedures and guidelines are.
Got you.
So, yeah, I would say ssa.gov is probably going to be your best place to go.
Now, if any of our listeners have any questions or any concerns, are they able to contact you?
Oh, come on. Of course they are. Absolutely.
And what's the best contact?
Well, they can call our office,
Okay.
which is 954-792-9529, which is 9-Law. Again, that's 954-792-9529. They can contact me directly if they want. If they have any questions on Social Security, workers' comp, or anything, at Steve at Fried, spelled like fried chicken, Fried, lawgroup.com. That's Steve at friedlawgroup.com. Or you can reach us through our website, which is friedlawgroup.com. Again, it's Fried, spelled like fried, the burden that I bear.
You just made me hungry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, for some fried food. All right. So that number again is 954-792-9529. Again, there's no upfront fees. So if you have any questions, please reach out to Steve at 954-792-9529. Steve, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. And I wish everybody a wonderful Saturday.
Thanks for listening to Medicare Made Simple with Medicare Myriam right here on Legends 100.3. Medicare Made Simple is brought to you by United Insurance Experts. For more information, call 561-464-CARE. That's 561-464-CARE. Tune in next Saturday at 9 a.m. for more Medicare Made Simple with Medicare Myriam.